happy to have Kaka. That's what he likes to call himself, but his real name is Collins Ruto. So he's going to introduce us to Vim and how he uses it as an IDE. And one thing about Ruto is he has mastered his tools. I mean, to some level, I mean, you will hear him speak, but he's really mastered his own tools, especially on Vim. I've quite learned a lot from him, but I can't match it. I can't match what he knows. So I'm excited to actually learn a lot from him today, and I hope you will too. So here is the format of the presentation. So we have like 40 minutes of Ruto's presentation, and then afterwards we are going to have a Q&A session. But if you feel like there's something that you need to ask, you can just type on the chat if you think that you'll forget, and then we'll get back, and I will read out your questions during the Q&A session. So, Kaka, welcome and take it away.
Great. Thank you, Josiah. Yeah, Josiah is a buddy of mine, and we've both learned Vim together. So I'm happy that we are doing this together. So before I introduce myself, I'm going to share the screen so that part of the slides includes somewhere I introduce myself. So great. So I haven't seen a lot of people using Vim as an IDE. Everyone is just mostly using VS Code, Sublime Text, Atom, and others. And I remember it was sometime last year that my CTO asked me to maybe start learning Vim because it has a lot of advantages. Then I gave myself the challenge and decided, to give Vim a go. And it's been such a good ride. So I'd like today to talk about using Vim as an IDE for focused development. So today we're not really learning about how to set up Vim and things like that because Vim is so lightweight. It comes really light, so you have to configure and set up a lot of things for you to make it work for you the way you'd like it to, for you to make it an IDE, so to say. So we're not really talking about that because we're going to mostly talk about how I use Vim as an IDE so that it can give some, can give you guys how you can use Vim as an IDE instead of just for a few maybe commits and things like that. You can actually extend its functionality apart from the normal usage. All right, so my name is Collins Ruto, but I like being called Kakaruto, and I'm about anything engineering and building great products. And I mostly do web development with Ruby on Rails, Vue, AWS, and anything in between. I'm an indie hacker as well, and what that means is that I'm an entrepreneur as well as an engineer. And my website is collinsruto.com if you want to know more about me. So today we're going to focus about on 4 objects: creating, reading, updating, and deleting. So those are things that most of us are familiar with as engineers and as programmers. So if you're creating an API, you normally look at these 4 things. So how to create files in Vim, a class, a method, a line of code, how to read files, how to read code, how to find files, how to find code quickly, how to, once you've found the file, the class, the method, how do you update that class, update that method, or update the line of code. And maybe you'd like to delete, how do you delete that file, that class, that method in Vim really quickly. All right. So there are a couple of tools I'll be using, and I'll be talking about them as we go. So we have Tmax. So Tmax is a tool for managing different project sessions. So if you have project A, B, C, and you do not like to maybe swiping your windows and things like that just to get to different projects, you can use Tmax to manage your sessions. So I'm just going to let me quit everything and start over again. So that you can see how I got here. And sorry if you can hear kids crying in the background. My neighborhood is quite busy at this time. All right. So I'm using a tool called Tmax that is a wrapper around Tmax that allows me to use Tmax really nicely with the different projects that I use. So I have mapped Tmax to TX. So whenever I'm starting a new project, either I have an existing project and I'd like to open the files, maybe the server, the Rails console, Git status, and things like that. I don't have to open like a new tab, a new terminal every time. So for example, normally I like having code on one window, on another window having the server running on another window, maybe tests and things like that. So for me to automate that, because every day I keep doing the same, I don't want to keep repeating my tasks. I use Tmax and Tmax. So how I start any project that I'm working on, I just type tx start, so Kotlin API. So that's one of the projects I'm working on. If I press enter, it does a couple of things. You can see below here. So this shows me that Tmax is running, and you can have it customized to whatever you'd like to have. So for example, if you're playing some music, it's going to tell you here your battery level, your time, anything. So we have the editor, and then for me, so that's the editor. It opens for me the app models user.rb file, and you can customize it to whatever file you'd like it to open. And then for you to switch to the next window, that is the second window, the console window, I press backtick N, and I am on this window. So on this window, it's starting the Rails console, and then on this other side, it's checking its status to check if there are any updates on my files. To go to the next window, backtick N again, and I wanted to have keycaster on so you guys can see what I'm typing. Let me just confirm. But it's fine. All right. So we have the Rails console already here, so I can do things like user.count, go to next. I have the server. Here I am tailing the development log. So if I go to localhost 3000, for example, and I load some pages, it's going to the logs are going to be tailed here. So I ran one command, and it opened for me all these windows and panes on Tmax as well as on Vim. So I'm ready to jump on my code and start writing some code. So once again, backtick N to go to the next window. So we're on the editor window. So Makefile. The whole premise of Vim is that you do not have to really use your mouse a lot of times. So we like using the keyboard a lot, and we'd like to stick to the home row. So that's the ASDFGHJKL part of the keyboard. So you don't like waste a lot of time looking for your mouse, pointing at some things, right clicking, creating a file, and things like that. So personally, for me, whenever I'm creating a new file, I use Makefile. So Makefile is a script that I wrote that allows me to create a file as well as add it to Git add that file quickly. So this is normally how I do it. So I go to this this pen on Tmax, then I make file. Maybe AWS Rails provisioner.yaml. I do git status. That's my shortcut for git status. It already just created the file for me and added it to git, so I can proceed. And then move back. So to switch to the last window, I use backtick N. So backtick L, that is backtick L, that is the last window to go to the next. Oh, and I can do the same, backtick L to go to where I was before, backtick L again to go to the editor window. And then for me to search for the file that I have just created, I use Control P. So Control P opens up this window with all the Git files that I have. And then if I want to search for it, AWS Trace Provisioner, there it is. Then I can press Enter for me to start typing on that file. I don't want to type on that file right now. All right, yeah, so we have backtick N to switch Tmax windows, backtick P, previous, next, and as well as backtick L to switch between the last window. All right, and then let's check how to do vertical splits in Vim of alternate files. All right, so I am on app models user.rb file. So for me to check the test of this particular file, what do I need to do? I can search user spec. That's a lot of work. I don't want to do that. So instead of me trying to guess what's the test of this particular file, it requires you to know the name of the test and then for you to search for it. What I can do, a shortcut that one of the plugins I have installed for Vim allows me to do is full colon. If you can see the bottom left corner of my screen, so full colon, capital A, capital V. So what this will do is it will open a vertical split to the right-hand side containing the test of this specific file. So I do full colon, capital A, capital V, and press Enter. And then right away you can see it opens the test file on the right-hand side. And for me to view the code on this test file, I want to scroll below. Yeah, this is a thing I struggled with at the start because I was used to maybe scrolling with the mouse. So the thing with my settings is I have disabled scroll with the mouse. So even if I come to this page with the mouse and the cursor, I cannot scroll. So Vim discourages you to use the mouse at all because it takes away time. So we want you to use the keyboard alone. All right, so if the mouse is not working, what works? Some people will say, let's use the arrow keys, the bottom arrow key. But if I come and press, according to my settings, you can use the arrow keys, yes. You can use the mouse, yes, if you allow your Vim to do that. But for me, I have disabled them because it's considered bad practice. So if I come down and press the bottom arrow key, it works, but it will take a lot of time for me to scroll all the way down. And it's sort of an anti-pattern. So in Vim, we use HJKL for sort of like the arrow keys. So if I want to go down, I press J. If I want to go right, I press L. If I want to go left, I press H. If I want to go up, I press K. But again, it's considered like an anti-practice because it takes a lot of time. So if you have 100 lines of code, for how long are you going to hold down J for you to get to the last line? So we don't want you to waste time when you're using Vim. So we have shortcuts for that. So I can scroll down with Control E. So I hold down Control and press E, and it scrolls down. And then for me to scroll back up, Control Y. And then if I do not want to scroll the way I'm scrolling, I can sort of like jump a number of lines down with Control D. So that's Control D, jumps some number of lines down to the end. And then Control U to jump some lines up. that. Control D and Control U. So yep. And then for me, so I'm on the right split right now. If I want to go back to the left split, I use Control H. So remember, you use in Vim, the directional keys are H, J, K, L. H on your left goes to your left, J goes below, K goes up, L, which is on the far right, goes to the right. So for me to come to this implementation file, what do I need to do? Hold down Control and press H, and it brings me to this file. To go back to the right split, hold down Control and press L, brings me to the right. And I also have configuration that allows me to resize the windows. Actually, it auto resizes. So if I'm on this window and I'm making some changes and anything, if I go to the left, you can see the left side split increases. All right, back to the slides. So yeah, to fuzzy search files, we use Control P. To preview a file, we use Control D. So let me just demo that. So for example, maybe I'd like to check the warehouse model. So once again, Control P, and that's my own settings. Everyone can have their own settings in Vim. So you just choose what is most intuitive to you. So for me, Control P will bring down this floating window that's really beautiful, and a prompt here that allows you to type. So if I'm searching, I just press Control P, then I search for the file. All right, and then once I have it, maybe I'd like to check this file, app interactors warehouses create. I can continue typing create interactors. So you don't have to search the full path. You can just use a couple of words or keywords that will help you to find that particular file. Or maybe as well, I just know I want a file that deals with warehouses, but I'm not sure which of these files. So what I can do, once I search for warehouse, you can see it opens on the right a preview window, and it has the code of that particular file, and it has syntax highlighting as well. So what I can do, instead of me pressing enter to open this file, I can press Control D. So Control D is going to scroll only this section, so you can see the entire code of this file. So I can press Control D and it takes me to the end because the file doesn't have a lot of lines of code. Then Control U to go up. So maybe that's not the file I want. So let's go to warehouse policy by pressing J, not even J, the bottom arrow key. Warehouse policy, I can see, it's not this. Press the bottom arrow key, show, it's not that. Type, it's not that. Yeah, let's check this one. So once again, once I see the code on the right hand side, I can Control D to scroll up like that and just confirm, okay, this looks like the file I want to open. So if that's the file you'd like to open, you enter. All right, and there you go. You have the file you were looking for, and then again. So this is the test file. If you'd like to see the implementation file of this test file, you don't have to search for it. You can as well do AV. So AV, as you can see on the bottom left corner of my screen, so AV is going to open a vertical split containing the alternate file. So A stands for alternate file. V stands for a vertical split. You can do horizontal splits as well if you want. So if I press AV, you can see what happens. So on the right hand side of where we were, it opens a new vertical split containing the implementation code of this test file. So I really find that very nifty because I don't have to maybe scroll down filtering files, opening a folder, confirming, this is not the folder I want, closing that folder, going to the next folder, finding that's not the file you want, going to the next folder again. And that's what I used to do when I was using the other IDEs, but nowadays I don't. So if this is the file I want, and I want to go back to the test, Control H to go to the left, Control L to go to the implementation file. And then once I'm done with this file, I can full colon Q to quit. I have mapped this to space Q because it's a common command. So instead of me typing every time, holding down Shift, pressing full colon, and then Q, those are 3 keystrokes. So right now I just press 2 keystrokes, that is space Q, and the file is closed. All right, back to the slides. So to copy in Vim, we yank files. So if you want to yank the entire file, you make sure you are at the top of the file, then you press Y and then capital G. It's going to copy the entire file contents. For you to paste whatever you've copied, P. So P will paste below. For you to paste above, it's Shift P, that's capital P. So let's see how to yank. And then we will run the tests and then put a breakpoint somewhere and see what to do. Then we'll be done with the create section. All right, let's close this with space Q, or if you like, hold down Shift colon Q. And then we have the user spec model. So I'd like to have the implementation file as well. So on every Vim window, I like having 2 splits. On the right, the test; on the left, the implementation file. So since I want to see the implementation file, AV, and then it opens it on the right hand side. But just my preferences, I like having the implementation file on the left. So what do I do for that case? I press Control W, Shift H. So Control W, Shift H, and the implementation file is now on the left, and the test on the right. So it swaps the two. If I want to do the opposite again, Control W, Shift L, and the implementation file goes here. But let me bring it back. All right. So maybe you'd like to yank maybe to copy from line 4 to line 13. So what I normally do, I press 4J. So 4J, oh, actually, something I haven't talked about. You can see my numbering is a little odd, and it's quite confusing for first-time users who are seeing this for the first time, because you're going to wonder, what's going on here? Why does the numbering look odd? Because in the real sense, this is line 29, but above starts from 1, 2, 3 going up. Below starts from 1, 2, 3 going down. So what's going on here? So this is called, I think it's called relative numbering in Vim. And it helps because in Vim, how we move is quite different from the normal editors. So if I'd like to copy from context here, success due to the end 7. So what I can do, I can press 2K. So 2K will take me up by 2 lines. So 2K, oh, that jumped, okay. So I'd like to bring the cursor to here. So what I can do is 19J, right? It brings me there, and then J brings me here. Control E to scroll. So I'd like to copy from this place to this place. So as you can see, these are 9 lines apart, and it's below. So what I can do is press Y9J. So 9J will take me 9 lines below. Y will yank or copy. So Y and J, and it highlights what I have copied, and then on the bottom left it tells you 10 lines have been yanked or copied. So there are different ways of copying in Vim, about 4 ways, but this is one of the ways I like using. And then for me to go to, so I want to paste it at line 10, so I don't have to scroll. What I normally do is press what is this key called? The apostrophe key, and then write square brackets, and then I'm there. Then I press enter to give me a new line, and then P, and then there we go. It has pasted for me the same content that I had copied. And then on the left again, with my Git integration, it can tell me, okay, so these are new lines that have not yet been committed or added to Git. So I'd have to add them to Git later. All right. So that's it about yanking and copying in Vim. And then if I want to move to the top of the file, it's GG. I just press DG twice. If I want to move to the bottom of the file, I press Shift G, that is capital G. Takes me to the bottom of the file. That is the end of the file. To move again to the top, GG, the bottom, G. So at the moment, I'd like to come to line 21. So that's 21 lines above. So what I do is 21K, and I am there. And my integration as well with RSpec tells me I have a repeated context block. So it's not like something you only find in this super IDEs that tells you, okay, you have a problem here, linting, for example. So with my integration and my setup with Vim, I have it set up such that whenever there's an error or a warning, for this case, it can show it for me. So all the yellows you are seeing sort of like warnings. So I'm using Rubocop. So whatever Rubocop is like a linter in Ruby. So whatever it finds is not appropriate, it's going to give me this yellow warning. If it's an error, it writes a red X, puts a red X sign there. All right. So let me just undo so that we have the code we had before. So if I want to run the test on line, the third line above, 3K, and then to run this test, the nearest test file, what I need to do, instead of, well, what we used to do before is, you like to type bundle exec rspec, and then the path of the file. So this is going to run the whole test suite, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of context switching. So you don't want to keep switching from your terminal to your editor and things like that. I'd like to run this test suite just within my editor. What do I do? So Vim allows you to do that. So backtick L to go back to the last window I was at. I'd like to run this particular test file, but without going back to the terminal again to type the path. What do I do? Only 2 keystrokes, Control N. That is Control N stands for nearest. So Control N. It'll open a small window, a small split below. That's going to run the test. If the test passes, it closes this window. I hope you saw that. So it happens in maybe 2 seconds or so. So I've repeated it, Control N, opens a small window to run the test. If it passes, it closes the window. So there are minimal distractions as possible. And then again, you can see it tells you success, bundle exec. This is a command it ran on the background. So you can see, oh, it's successful. All right, so let me continue writing my code. So there are not a lot of distractions. If the test failed, so let's make it fail. So expect the user to be persisted. So let me make it opposite. So once again, my configuration with Vim. So you're not going to get this with your first installation of Vim. You have to configure it. So I press backslash, just a single backslash. it's going to give me the opposite of 2. So if we expect user to be persisted, it's going to give me expect user not to be persisted with a single keystroke. So that is, so I'm just going to press backslash. And then in a second, we have not to be persisted. We're going to go back to backslash. To go back to not to backslash. I haven't typed anything. These are just shortcuts that I am using. So once again, to run this same file, this same test rather, Control N, it will run this, the nearest test. That is the test that is nearest to the cursor. It opens a small window and then it fails. So if it fails, that small window doesn't get closed. Instead, it highlights the error for you. And the error here in this case is expect user not to be persisted. So we expected user ID blah 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 dot persisted to return false. Instead, we got true. So the test fails and it highlights the failure in yellow. So you can immediately see, okay, I have a failing test. And what's the error message? Once you have the error message, you can go ahead and fix it. So yeah, let's go ahead and fix it. So if I go, so Control H, J, K, L again for the directions. So right now the cursor is here. If I want to go to the implementation file, Control H. To go to the error message, Control J. Then I can scroll and maybe try to see any other message it has for me again. So once I'm on this window again, Control E to go down, Control Y to go up, E down, Y to go up. Once I'm done with this window, I can press Control K to go to the implementation file, and then Control E to scroll down. And then maybe the fix was somewhere here, right? And then to go back to the test file here, and then again backslash to change that, and then so this is another thing I like in Vim. I really wish I had another example. So let's say the fix for this failing test was in this particular file. So once I have made my changes, so maybe some changes, and then escape. So how I have mapped my escape key is when I escape, it saves that file. That's why at the bottom left here, you can see autosave, saved at this time. So maybe this was the fix for this failing test, but yeah, it's not the fix. So let me just, one other thing to comment. So if you want to comment files or to comment lines of code, I do 2 keystrokes of the backslash. So backslash, that way to uncomment that way. So for this case, let's just uncomment it. Let's assume this was a fix for this particular failing test. I do not need to go back to the test file and then find the line 34 file I'd like to run code, to run that test, and then run that test. So Vim will remember it for me that the last run test was this test. So what I need to do is not to run Control N, but Control G. So Control G will run the last run test. So if I press Control G, and remember I'm inside this file, the implementation file, but it runs this test, opens this window. Now the test passes, it closes that window. So you can see I have like fast feedback. So when I'm in active coding, I can easily find bugs, find tests, run the test, fix bugs, like really quickly. The feedback response cycle is really fast when I'm coding with Vim as opposed to when I used to use VS Code, Sublime Text, Atom, and the other editors. So, all right, to undo in Vim is U. So I just press U. U again, U again, U again. So back to where we were. So as you can see, so far I haven't typed anything, just a couple of shortcuts and commands that I press on my keyboard to give me the output I'd like to have. All right, something else. So let's say the test was failing. So let me make it fail again with backslash to give me the opposite, expect user not to be persistent. If I want to come to line, so this line 34, I want to come to line 33. and enter insert mode so I can type some code. So what I can do for this case is Shift O. So O will Shift O. Then we are at the line above, and it goes to insert mode. So insert mode in Vim allows you to type some text. All right. So I can binding.pry so that I can see the error. So I'm putting a breakpoint here so that I can investigate further. So I type whatever I wanted to type, and then I press escape. So escape is going to go back to normal mode. So in normal mode, you cannot type. If you want to type, there are a couple of shortcuts. Most common one is I. So you press I to enter insert mode, and then escape to go to normal mode. And then, as you can see again, my linter tells me, okay, remove debugger entry point binding.pry. And then it puts for me a small warning sign on the left here. But I'd like to see, to investigate further what's happening. So to run the test again, I can do Control G to run the last run test, or Control N. For this case, let me do Control G. So it remembers which test was run last, and then it runs that test. You'll open this small window here, and then it puts a breakpoint. So that's really cool. And then for me to go to this window below, what do I need to do? Control J to go below. And then press Q to escape this mode. And this allows me to type. All right. So this is binding.pry. So maybe I want to check user. The user present? Yes. The user persisted. Yeah, it's persisted. That means we should say expect user to be persisted. So right now I know how to fix that failing test. So in this case, what I can do, exit, will continue running the test will fail, but now I know how to make a fix. And then it brings me back to the debugger entry point, binding.pry. So what I can do to delete in Vim, to delete a line, you press DD, DD, that's double D. So I press DD, it deletes that line. Now I don't have the debugger warning. Then I can run that test again with Control G, and then the test should pass right here below, and this window will be, oh yeah, I haven't changed. So I need to change it to expect user to be persisted. To move to the right or to the left in Vim, there are many ways. So you can jump a single letter with L, but that's not recommended. Actually, if I press a lot of L's, it's not going to work because I have put a timer in my Vim configuration. So it discourages me from using L all the way to where I want because it takes time. So what you can do is jump word by word. So www. I'm going to jump words. For you to move back, you can press B. So B, things like that. So, but if you had a very long line, for example, in this line, so maybe I'd like to change .com to .org. If I want to make that change, I don't have to press www all the way to the end. So what I can do, according again to my shortcuts, I can press M. M will open this small typing window below on the bottom left, allowing me to type 2 characters that I'd like to search for, and then CO. Then once I press CO, it finds all appearances of CO in the code and it highlights them. And then it jumps to the first one immediately. So if this was not the one I wanted to, maybe I want this particular one. So what I can do is press 3M. And it jumps to this .com. Then I can now edit that to whatever I wanted. All right. Anyway, for this case, we were here. I can press BB to go back, and then backslash to change it to 2, and then Control N to run that test again and make it pass. So a couple of nifty shortcuts that once you have mastered and had them on your mind, it's easy for you to proceed. All right. See, time is moving really quickly. But we have done a lot, so let's proceed. So we were on create with Vim, read with Vim, a couple of them. We have done a couple of them. let me display how to view already open files with Control B, and then searching in all files with Control F, and then tap Edit, zooming a file, hiding and hiding. Okay. All right. So we have opened a couple of files. So instead of me maybe searching them all over again, I can press Control B. So Control B will show me all the files I have opened before, and then I can press Enter to go to them. All right. So that's a nifty shortcut. And Control F will allow me to search for anything in the code base. So I press Control F, and then it opens this small typing window on the bottom left, and then I can type. So for this case, maybe I want to type has many, anywhere that says has many in my code base. So I type has many, then I enclose with the quotes, and then I press Enter. So going to open a floating window with all the appearances of has many in my code base. So I can scroll down the arrow key, for example, then it highlights those such as in red to tell me, okay, these are has many, up, another has many, and things like that. And I can as well type here for that file. So maybe I'd like an organization file. So I can type it, and then it reduces the number of files that I have. So that's really nifty. It allows me to move quickly when I'm searching for files. All right, we also have tabs in Vim. I don't normally use it a lot, but they can really be nifty. So to open a tab in Vim, you press Shift : and then tab, edit, and then the path to that file. So app, models, maybe organization.rb, and then it opens that file in a new tab. Then for you to switch tabs, you GT to go to the next tab, basically. So we have them. I don't normally use them, but they're really nifty if you like using tabs in Vim. Let's see again the slides. And then one other very important shortcut is Control-O and Control-I. That takes you to the previous or the next cursor location. So let me just demo that really quickly. So if I press Control-O, it takes me to where the cursor was last seen. So that was on the organization file. Then Control-I takes me back to where I was before I press Control-O. So these are really nifty. So if you are editing something, you're finding out about something, you can quickly dump files. So yeah, let me demo something else. Yeah, that works. So let me go back. So sometimes you'd like to see, you'd like to read how something was implemented, and you don't want to search for it. So for this case, maybe I'd like to see, how was this days method implemented in Ruby? So this comes with with Rails. So if I'd like to see that, I have tags integration with Vim using C tags and in universal and exuberant tags. So if I want to read the source code of maybe a gem or a library, I just press Control forward bracket. So Control forward bracket, it will take me straight to the code base, the source code. So right here, we have the def days method, and I can do whatever I wanted to do here. And then if I want to go back to my last cursor location, Control-I, then it brings me back to Control-O. Yeah, Control-O. All right, so those are really nifty for me. So let's see what we still have. All right, and then update with Vim. So if you like editing all occurrences of maybe a line of code or a word inside your file, we can use this shortcut here. %s alt new g. Let me just demo it really quick. All right, so let's say we are here and we'd like to change all occurrences of user to user A, maybe. So what I do is hold down Shift, %s backslash. So the word I want to replace is user. Then it highlights it for me here, backslash, kind of deletes it. Then I'd like to call it user1. It highlights that user word again. If I want to do it globally, I\T, it's going to replace all instances of that user, everywhere. And I press enter, it's going to replace it. So for this case, let's leave it as it is. And then to change ones in Vim, let me demo this. CIM, CI, capital M. Right. Right, so let me come back. Let me go Control H to go to the implementation file. So maybe I don't like how this class is written or anything like that. So for me to change all the contents inside my class, what I need to do is type CI capital M. So capital M is to change a module or a class. So CI capital M. CI capital M, yep. It changes everything, then I can start from scratch or anything that I'd like. Then U to undo. Then maybe I'd like to change within the generate token method. So I jump to inside that method. Once I'm inside, I can do CI small m. CIM. It's going to delete everything and put me inside insert mode. I can start typing. So let me undo that. Right, it's hanging for some reason. All right, there we go. And then if I want to delete, maybe I just want to delete this method. So what I can do is delete around method. So that's DAM. So if I type DAM, that method is gone. So it knows exactly where that method is starting and where it's ending. And then let me undo. If I want to delete the whole class, I do D, maybe I, capital M, DIM. It's going to delete everything, starting from class user to the end. So those are really nifty methods. So in other IDEs, what you'd have had to do is to select and then delete. So that takes a lot of time. All right. Something else that is really important is autocomplete. So many people like all the IDEs because of autocomplete. So my Vim as well allows you to type with autocomplete. So let me demo that, as well as space GS and CRM. Okay. So close it again. Okay. All right. So I'd like to type to add a relation here. So what I did here is pressed O. O will take you to the next line and insert you in insert mode. So I'd like to have a belongs to association. So I can do BE belongs to. So it gives me there's autocomplete, and then I can tab whatever, But for this case, I think the best is 8K, enter. So I'd like to add a test that says it should belong to, something like that. So what I do is it should belong to, and then tab, and then backslash, and it auto completes and gives me suggestions and things like that. And then I can type it should belong to organization, something like that. So those are some really nice shortcuts you can include in your Vim configuration to allow you do a lot of work quickly. And then something else is maybe you're writing some JavaScript and you don't use a lot of underscores and things like that. So you'd like to convert validate uniqueness of to camel case. So what I can do is CRM. CRM will convert it to camel case. So those are just 3 keystrokes. To convert it back to snake case, CRS, as well as a lot of other shortcuts. So maybe if you want to replace all the underscores with dots, you can do CR dot. then it replaces them with dots. If you want to replace it with dashes instead of underscores, so you do, let me first undo, and then CR dash, then it replaces them with dashes. Snake case CRS. Let me just undo. So site shortcuts, they are really nice when you're typing with Vim. So if you'd like to see the changes you have made in your files, I can do space GS. So let's see if I have any changes. So let me add something here. And then if I type space GS, no, I typed the wrong key. Space GS, it opens the same preview window we had below with all the changes that I have. So I can scroll and see, okay, so for this file, I have a change here, an addition, what. For this file, it's a new file, doesn't have anything. And then I can proceed. So while we're still talking about the same Vim, let me add something here again about Git status and things like that. I also have a nice plugin called Vim Fugitive that allows you to use Vim and Git in a really nice way. So if I want to check Git status a different way, I'd press GSS. It opens this small window, tells me a lot of things about my files, what is untracked, what is unstaged, what is staged. So I press Control N to like scroll between the files, or maybe KJ. So if I'd like to stage user.rb, so what I do is press a dash. Then it stages it, dash again, stages it. Then now I know I have these 3 files staged. For me to commit, what do? Press CC. If I press CC, it opens this small window up here, and it changes below. So to go up, Control K, then I to insert, then I can start typing my commit message, So I don't want so if I type the commit message and I press escape to save the commit message and I quit this window, it's going to commit that file. And then for me to push my changes to GitHub, the shortcut to do that is GPP. All right. So far, as you can see, everything that I have done is just within the terminal, a few keystrokes, a few typings here and there. Yeah, so this aborted the commit to an empty message. So all the messages you get are going to be below here. Then I can quit and things like that. All right, let me check the other one. So to delete, these commands are kind of the same. So to change, remember we were using C, and then for deletion, use D. So DIM, DAM. So DIM will delete inside that method. A will delete that method entirely, starting from where it starts, where it ends. If you have some code that you have enclosed within brackets or the curly braces, if you want to delete everything inside the curly braces, what do? The shortcut inside normal mode, DI, opening curly bracket. Just that is going to delete everything inside the curly braces. And then if you want to rename a file, you just full colon rename. To delete, full colon delete. All right, and then so as I finish, allow me to demo SCP, because it's really really nice with people who use Vim and they have remote servers. All right, so backslash n, n rather. Right, so we are here. Clear. So if you have a server somewhere and what most guys would do is, let me just show really quickly. So most of us will SSH-I, and then you specify the SSH key, and then the user, Ubuntu, and then the IP address, and then press enter. So most of us will SSH fast, and then try to find the file. So let's do ls. We have cat.txt and test.rb. So if you want to make some changes to test.erb, you do now vim test.rb. It will open Vim inside your server. Then as you can see, no syntax highlighting. You will miss all the shortcuts you've been using on your local Vim configuration. Like everything. So Vim on the servers comes as bare bones as possible. And I think this is why most people fear Vim, because it's too bare bones. You don't have the line numbers, no syntax highlighting and things like that. So if you don't want to do that in Vim, use secure copy, that is SCP. So just type Vim SCP and then // the name of your user, the IP address, and the file you'd like to edit, like that, test.rb. That is, if you're using a password, it's going to ask you for a password first before you view that file. But for my case, I'm using SSH. So I have mapped it to test instance. So, and test instance knows the user as well as the IP address, as well as the identity key inside SSH /config, my SSH config locally. So because of time, let me not go to that file. So if I do this, it's going to open for me that remote file in Vim, and it's going to load my configurations, the existing configurations I have for that particular file. So let's just wait upon it. So it's opening it, still opening it. So somehow I had to refresh the file for me to see the contents. So :E and then %, enter. It should show me the file contents. But E, enter. Maybe missed something. All right, let me enter the full path from Ubuntu test.rb. So what SCP does, it allows you to edit remote files with your configuration on Vim. It has syntax highlighting and everything. So instead of you seeing it this way, you'd see it, and then you can see already it's it's running some of my local configurations for Vim. So edit, do that to reload. Somehow I need to reload for it to work. Yep. And then I can now have the same file with my syntax highlighting, my shortcuts and everything. So yeah, I have everything configured now with my local settings, even the linter is there and everything. So that was really important for me to demo. So if you normally work with servers mostly, instead of SSHing first, you can use Vim SCP and then you enter the path of your file. All right. Yeah, so no more demoing, we are done on that part. So Vim doesn't want you to leave Vim, wants you to continue focusing on your work by eliminating distractions and minimizing context switches, because you're going to live on the terminal. You have your Vim settings, your Vim, which is your IDE. There's another fork of Vim called NeoVim. You have your Tmax settings, you have your terminal item, alacrity, or any terminal you have. So basically, you're going to live inside there, no outside party, right? So that reduces chances of you getting distracted. When you're scrolling by, you can see Slack. You scroll by, seeing Chrome, scroll, find your IDE. So avoid distractions. When you have the right tools to get the job done, and they are only a few keystrokes away, you minimize context switching, and you can get it done quickly. So with Vim, the mantra is type as less as possible for you to get the work done. Some people might say Vim takes a lot of time to learn. The truth is, yes, it does takes a lot of time to learn. The learning curve is quite steep because you need to build the muscle memory, memorizing all those nifty shortcuts, and unlearning your previous use of the normal IDEs. But the thing is, once you have built it to your memory, it will remain on your fingertips, and it's going to run all day, every day. Your productivity is going to be supercharged, and I saw this firsthand. It used to take me like a lot of minutes just to do something really small, but these days with Vim, I can really do a lot just within an hour or so. And most people I've met as well have reported, a lot of productivity increase after using Vim for a couple of weeks or months. So with speed and then focus, because of no distractions, your productivity is really going to improve by a big margin. Yep. So some resources. If you'd like to learn Vim, just go to your terminal and then type Vim tutor. So this is something else that is really nice about Vim. It comes installed almost on all Unix machines. So you don't have to like install it again, it comes installed or on those servers you have. So just type Vim tutor and press enter and then learn that tutorial. If you'd like some nice video tutorials, we have ThoughtBot. Yeah, you can just search ThoughtBot Vim upcase Vim tutorials. And then one other thing is, since Vim doesn't come configured as an IDE, you will have to set it up on your own. So if you'd like to see my configuration, my Vim configuration is here on github.com/kaka-tuto-.files. Then my vimrc containing all those shortcuts I have showed you, all the plugins. Plugins are sort of like extensions that you have gotten used to in VS Code. So all the plugins I have set up, all those shortcuts, you can find them in this file, vimrc. So yeah, the slides will be shared later so you can have access to them. Oh yeah, that is the end of our presentation today. And yeah, I guess the questions can start coming. Oh, remember to escape, to quit Vim. You press escape first and then :Q to quit Vim. Yep. Just hi.
Yeah, thank you. Productivity is important, and what like my key takeaway is just be patient enough to get Vim, to get used to Vim, and you'll be very productive, very productive. And now all of us know how to quit Vim. But I mean, yeah, it's quite, it's one of the memes that is quite popular around the internet. So it's time for questions. So if you have any question, kindly you can post it on the chat. I'll read that. And yeah, so keep them coming. And maybe just to get started, like maybe one thing I can ask you is, your Vim setup is amazing. Like, I don't know, when I open Vim, like, for example, for the first time I opened Vim, it was very ugly, and I could not like, get to work with it for real. So maybe you can mention some of the plugins you're using and how you get your Vim to look this good, just mentioning a few of the plugins that you're using.
Great. That's a really nice question. So once again, when you are using Vim for the first time, nothing has been set. It's going to look ugly. You're going to hate it. You lack all the syntax highlighting and everything you've gotten used to. You will have to set Vim the way you'd like. The colors, the theme, the font, and a lot of things. So this is my configuration. And again, I have a shortcut for that because I don't have to go searching for the folder, the directory, the code. So what I need to do is press space CV. So space CV. 3 keystrokes, and I have my vimrc inside a folder I call .files /config /nvim. Nvim for my case stands for neovim. Neovim is a fork of Vim. Then init.vim. Init.vim is basically vimrc. So this is my configuration, and there are probably hundreds, so maybe number of plugins that I have here. And the truth is, I didn't start from scratch. So I found someone's configuration and started from there. So I basically, looked at what they have done and then tried to do it as well here. So there are a couple of plugins here. Really, there are really many. So there are really many, really many. So if I scroll down, you can see my Vim configurations. A lot of things, setting the line numbers, folding. So you can also fold code. You can see I'm using a solarized color scheme. So this plugin allows me to use that colorized theme rather. And then there are really a couple. And you had me mentioning space a lot. So in Vim, we have a concept called a map leader. A map leader is like maybe the top shortcut you're setting. So for me, it's space. You can set it to anything. Some people set it to a comma, dot, anything. So mine is space. So you also saw I have autosave on. So this plugin Vim autosave allows me to do that. Then I just set G autosave to 1. So there are really a couple of them. Like this file is a lot of lines of code, and that's probably not a good thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, sure. And I believe we can find those on your dot files. And maybe you can share like the dot files that you build on top so that you can so that you came up with this amazing setup, right? That would be awesome. And yeah, right. So I'm waiting for questions to come in. Just feel free to ask your questions, and yeah, I'll give like 30 seconds so that we can get the first question coming in.
Yeah, and as you prepare your questions, take note of this guy called T-Pop. Most really nice plugins of Vim are made by him. So if you're going to try learning Vim, you're going to really use a lot of these plugins. So you can as well ask any question you have, even verbally, if you don't like to type.
Sure. Well, going once.
There's a question in the chat.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so yeah, Harman, thank you. And Roddy is asking, how did you configure the whole project search? I guess he's asking about the FZ. I don't
Yeah,
know the search plugin that you
yeah,
are demonstrating earlier.
yeah. I think I got him. So for search, I use a plugin called FZF Preview Vim. So to search in Vim, I do / and then FZF preview file. So this is the one here. So the plugin is fzf-preview.vim. You can find it on GitHub. All of them are open source. So whole project search. I think that the one you're asking for is Control F. So this one. So I just map Control F to FZF preview project grep. Then it will ask for some space. Then I can type whatever I want to search, and then it's going to show it to me. So it's as simple as this one line 12. So yeah, most of the functionality is given to me by this plugin fzf-preview.vim. So you can have a look at it on GitHub. Just search fzf-preview.vim on GitHub. You're going to find a lot of those.
Wow, thank you. I hope your question is answered, Roddy. So thanks, Marvin. So I guess if there is no another question, yeah, if there is no another question, thanks to sort of the amazing presentation on your Vim setup. And I'm inspired myself to even make my Vim setup look better because it's not. I mean, I have a lot to do to make it even functional. So by the end of, we are going to send you the slides and also the links to all the dot files that Ruto pointed out, so that you can have a look at those. And one more thing, we are going also to send like a feedback form, so that you can fill in about how, so that you can give us feedback and find ways of even improving these, Wednesday workshops, so that we can get the most out of it. So thank you all for joining and sticking us to the end. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ruto, for teaching me how to escape from Vim. It's been a headache.
Thanks to you guys for joining. I'm really grateful.